Hi, Himani. Thank you so much for joining us. Can I ask you to first briefly introduce yourself, please?
Yeah. Hi. Thank you so much for this invitation. So I am Himani Nautiyal and I'm an anthropologist, primatologist, and currently I'm working as a postdoctoral researcher at Harvard University in Washington, D.C. And I'm also a founder and director of this field site called Himalayan Langurs project, where we have been working on primate behavior ecology and conservation projects in the Himalayas. Almost it's been 10 years we are working there. Yeah, so today I will be sharing mostly my experience as a primatologist.
Nice. So you've been studying langurs long enough to tell us what a day in the life of a langur looks like.
Yeah, actually, we are studying different groups in Mandal Valley. Yeah, so first let me explain like where we are working right now. So we are working in like at the fringes and inside Kedarnath Wildlife Sanctuary, which is in Uttarakhand state. So we have like different groups of langurs we are studying, and as that if you are studying the primates, you have to follow them for a long time to understand their behavior. So we know some groups like from generation to generation because it's been 10 years. So I will be mostly sharing my insights from the group living very close to the village, right? So it's like a village, if 6, 7 villages within the Vandal Valley where this group basically have the home range. And then we also have like groups studying, we are studying them in different elevation, 2000 meters, 3000 meters. I also study them almost like 4000 meters in like very extreme environment. So basically, if I talk about the Mandal group, which is our like most studied group as well. So we start our observation like morning 6 to evening 6. So it's like for the
Right.
langurs, it's like they have this 2 square kilometer home range, and then they have fixed sleeping sites, right? So they get up. So they prefer like highly dense oak sites. So they within when they are living very close to humans, they have these like some patches left where they can sleep. So they have these patches very close to agriculture field. So they get up in the morning. It varies winter and in summer. In winter it's a bit late, but in summer it's quite early. So they will get up, and then first thing they do is grooming, because grooming is it's not just like removing the parasites, but it's also very important for their social bonding. That's how they start their day. They start, they groom, they chill a bit like for 1.5 hour. And then they have, because it's like multi-male, multi-female society, they are mostly more female than the males. And then the some males, they have some responsibility that now it's time to go to other area, get up and then leave. So then they have this wake up call, like we call the alarm call. So male will jump on the branch and say, okay, now it's the time to move. So what's happening in when they're living in these kind of fragmented forest? So they and langurs are leaf eaters. Okay, so they have these. They don't have enough food inside the forest. So what they do, they regularly they go inside the agriculture field, like for say 1 or 2 hours, like in the morning. So they will spend feeding on leaves. So crops are seasonal. When there are crops, they definitely feed on crops as well. But every day, like that's without fail, every day they enter inside the field. They feed on like these agroforestry crops, and then they come back again in the forest, and then again they socialize a bit, grooming and all. They sleep because they eat high cellulose diet, so they need some time for resting, digestion. And at the time when the infant also they play during this time when other members are sleeping, and then again they go one more time in the evening inside the agriculture field, and then they come back around 5 or so. Again they socialize a bit. So if they are like bit far from their sleeping place, so they travel a bit. So that's how their daily life, every day get up, plan for the raid for the today, and
Right.
then and that's pretty much like every day they do this. Yeah.
So you mentioned
Yeah.
that they're group living. What's the average group size?
So it varies, but it's what we have found like mostly in the valley or like up to 3,000 meters is 50 to 70 individuals.
Five
So they
zero.
are pretty, yeah, 50, 50 to 70. Like in Mandal group, we have 75 individuals, including the babies,
Wow.
including the infant. Yeah, it's a quite large group. And so when we look at the social connection, is it was very confusing, like at the beginning when I was identifying. Now I can identify
Yeah.
all the individuals. I know them
How?
by
How do you
face.
ID? Wow.
So it's how I identify you, right? I know that
Yes,
you look
yes,
different from other. So it's the same. We have this inside us, like as a human, that we can recognize features. The thing is,
yes,
you cannot identify them with the binocular so much. So you have to maintain some distance, say 10 meters or so. Then if you can see them with that distance, you remember their faces. If they're always on the canopy, it's a bit difficult, but they do come
right,
on the ground when they groom and all. So we
right,
have like photo, definitely. It was nightmare. Like we had to click a lot of pictures and make an album,
yes,
always the effort that. And then we also had like behavior, because they also have individuality. Like each individual has some different characters. So we know, okay, this individual is this, and then they some are actually related. They are sisters, some females, so they look similar. So like that, like it took almost like 2 years to categorize them before my PhD. So I started data collection 2017-18 for my PhD. So before that, I had this. Basically, I was like full year. I was in Mandal, just understanding their features and yeah. So but
nice.
when
I
you
guess,
have when you know who is who, then it get really interesting, the studies. Yeah,
yeah, I guess it's
yeah.
about what you pay attention to, right?
Yeah.
So I will come back to this individuality, which is really
Hmm.
interesting. But I had a question about, so you said the home range is about 2 square kilometer,
Yeah, it's
but
like
that will vary with the group size, right? The troop size.
definitely the Mandal Valley group has 2 square kilometer, but in our like Amachopta group, it has almost double. But in summer, they might be like within the 2 square kilometer or less. But in winter, because they don't have enough food resources at 3,000 meters, so they have like really large home range. And more than 3,000 meters,
Right.
like Rudranath, when I was studying them, they had group size was like 25 individuals, like very less. And and then home range was really large. They can also, like, I think it's 60 square kilometer or so, because they have like it's very challenging habitat, and then there are like very few population could survive there. So population of the langur at high altitude is low, group size is low, home range is bigger. But in valley, where they have valley is very risky habitat, but very good for langurs, because they have basically, because they eat leaves. So these young leaves are always available in the in the
Right,
agriculture field,
right.
right? If you remember, there's like this Bimal Khadi, the Grevia optiva, basically. So these are the leaves good for the fodder, and these are the leaves langurs love. So they go and they just like, feed on those leaves daily basis, and some of the herbs growing at the edge of the fields as well. So that's they can find something almost every day at this, like in valley system where we have villagers, right? So as you go higher up, we don't have settled farming more than 2,000 meters in Uttarakhand. Mostly like this part of the where we have the oak forest, basically. In more like where we are sharing boundary with China and Tibet. That side is bit like you can see the farming is bit higher up, but there we have different forest type. But where we have the oak forest, there we have mostly community settled 1,500 to 1,800 meters, and that is like the ideal zone for the langurs, and where we have the larger group size and also the high population of the langurs.
So the langurs that occur at the higher sites, so I've seen them sometimes on these grassy meadow slopes, right? What are
Hmm.
they eating there? Are they eating grass or roots or what?
Yeah, it depends like which season we see them in the meadow. Like when they're strawberries, then they feed on strawberries a lot, the wild
Yeah.
strawberries. So that's their favorite. And sometimes they also have these because they need some minerals in their diet, because they eat a lot of leaves, right? So they have some patches on these meadows where they eat the soil. Like they have
Oh,
mines, small mines type of thing, where they go and they feed on the soil. And also they feed on different, there are different kind of medicinal plants, right? A lot of herbs there, so they feed on the leaves. They like most of the plants growing on the meadow, and they feed on their leaves. And when like starting like late fall or starting of the winter, when there are like no leaves available, then they dig and feed on the roots. That's their main food during that time. They are on the meadow, and
okay.
even during the snow season, they will just dig the snow and then feed on the roots when they have nothing to eat at that elevation.
Roots of grass, you mean?
Yeah, not
Or
grass,
like
but
herbs,
the medicine,
shrubs?
the herbs. Yeah, because you know that we
Okay.
have on the meadow we have a lot of varieties of the herbs. Mostly they are
Yeah.
medicinal plants. And most of the roots actually eaten by villagers as well. There are some plants. It tastes good. They're a bit bitter, but they are good. Like they have like different kind of minerals, I think, which local people like. Like it's good for energy, and so it's also consumed by local people. And Langur also love the roots of those herbs.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
How are these groups navigating every day? Do you think they have mental maps of the area?
Yes, definitely. And this is something we are also researching on. Virendra Mathur, he is like currently a PhD scholar of University of Toronto. So his research is mostly on that mental map, how they navigate and what kind of, there are different stories behind it. So he's also trying to understand them in the like dense forest, basically in Kanchula Kharak, inside the sanctuary core area, also in the Mandal, where they have these lot of obstacles and all. So they do have sense about the area, and they can see better than us, because sometimes if something is happening other side of the valley, they know, and they will be like going somewhere else, and then we got to know that bit later. Sometimes they have some individual trapped because of the dogs when they go inside the field, and they have the guard dogs, and then we don't realize that one individual is left somewhere like far back, and they know, and they, when we see males going to rescue the individual, then we realize, oh, then we see with our binocular, oh wow. So they do have, I think, the senses and the mapping system, I think, better than humans. Yeah, so we are still trying to understand that's what they really think. And yeah.
Better than us, but maybe at par with people who live there. Like somebody who goes to the forest every day would have a comparable sense of direction and things.
Exactly. Yeah, we will be lost if we don't have proper tools with us, and because I think we are relying on them so much.
Yeah.
But for the animals, it's like part of the survival. So they have to, they should have those senses like more enhanced than human. Yeah, definitely, like the villagers who are living in the, especially like the separate community, who are mostly like 6 months they live in the forest, so they definitely have like better senses than us. And but it's still, I would say, like Langurs.
Yes, better.
Yeah.
Better. And so when they're foraging, I'm sure they prefer like fresh leaves and things like that. So how do they locate these trees with fresh leaves or specific food things? How do you think they're locating this?
Yeah, because for the Langurs, this 2 square kilometer is their world, right? That's what they know, and they know like what part will be ready, especially like the flush leaves, and love the acorns, right? That's the only fruiting they could get in the Himalaya. So they know the season, they know where they can find it, and because we are following them for so many years now, if you ask me, like, Himani, where they will be tomorrow, I know where they will be tomorrow, because they just follow that routine. They know, and then they transmit their knowledge to the next generation, right? So they know this area, but definitely climate change is going to impact that, because they don't know if there is early rhododendron flowering, because they love rhodo flowers, and if the flower are blooming in this side of the valley in, say, March or April, is already blooming in February, they will not know. So it will be like a bit confusing for them. Oh, what's happening? But that's, I think, because they are just foraging within this small home range for like entire life. No, like where we can find which resources, and where we can find the crops, where, because they also know about the crops, they know about the oranges, which family, where, they, and they learn like the younger generation, they learn these things, and then yeah, so that's how they know about the
How long
resources.
lived are they? Sorry to cut you off, Shrini. Just
Yeah, please go ahead.
how long lived are they, Himani?
Based on the literature, is 23 to 25. That's their age. Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying, Shrini?
I was just curious that because such a diverse set of fruits and flowers and all are there, is it documented something? Do they have names for these, or like sounds and stuff like that? Do you think they must be calling a strawberry something, no, or something like that? Do you think there is something like that, signals or sounds, like a language system?
Not for the fruit resources. They have these things for predators. For the food, it's mostly they have like a lot of facial expression, gesture communication. It goes with that, that when they move, like when they get up, when they move, they have they follow the clue. Like, we know that the male will jump on the branch. This means like, okay, it's the time to move. I think they and then the male will just give, it's like just one kind of call they use mostly for communication. Males for based for resources, basically, not for the predator. Predator is alarm call, but communication call is, so it can be like they use it for different things. And we have not done research on this, but now we have one PhD student interested. He will be starting field work this year, when he will actually see the call patterns and what calls are used for what. But they do have these communication, but you will not, like, if you just hear it, it's just, but maybe they're like different pitch and things for different things. But it's not like directly related to, say, one kind of, just like for accounts, they will not use one kind of call, but it will be like maybe for a lot of things similar to that. Because they don't have such complicated, like we have a lot of word and things, because we use the language. The language is bit like, it's based on few things, but maybe they just clump things together. It's not very specific to the like one thing. Yeah. So
Thanks.
yeah.
And you said they have different calls for predators.
Yes, they have different calls for predator. If there is an aerial predator, the call will be different. And there are dogs, even we have noticed that they have different calls for the dogs, because they are dogs who are like active predator. They know that this dog will definitely kill the langurs. And some dogs are just like playing with the langurs and just chasing them, teasing them, but they will not hunt. So they know. And that's how we also knew that, okay, this, they're giving this call. This means like, actually, like something is going to happen. And based on that, if there is like normal alarm call for like non-predatory dog, individual, if they're feeding inside the agriculture field, they will be like, okay, they will be like, okay, they will just, okay, I'm alert, but they are not like panicked. But you see, when there is this different call, then they are really panic and they just run away and they go back to the forest. There's like chaos, and that is actually the success for the dogs. Because when there is a chaos and there's 17 individual running towards one direction, one will definitely be, oh, what should I do? And then left behind. And the dog, they love that opportunity. So it's yeah, I mean, we didn't do like proper call study, but now we will. Yeah. I did recorded like different responses and all, like more behavior study on this, which is part of my PhD as well. The anti-predatory strategy, basically, langurs, anti-predatory strategy. And then when in these kind of landscape where they have this active predator during the daytime, dogs, and they literally, if they're successfully actually killing. Now they're learning about how they can hunt langurs, and it's a nice meat for them because it's 5 or 10 minutes maximum. And if you go after 5 minutes, everything is gone. They eat everything, bones, fur, everything, even no blood. They just love langur meat.
And
like,
you said this is something new that they're learning.
Dogs?
Yeah.
I think so, because I have seen this growing, like when I started, like 2014, basically, when I started observing them. It was not that dogs were there, but they're not that successful with the hunting. But with the time, they're literally there, because now conflict is also growing in this valley. Like before, it was like at least a smaller group size and a better resources. But every year they are losing resources, and we also having a lot of problem by encroachment within their home range. So it's decreasing. Their home range is shrinking. And now they have mostly these agriculture field and the village, these areas, right? And where the dogs can get the success. They cannot hunt them in the forest. Not possible, because langurs can just run, right? There's a nice canopy continuation. But in the agriculture field, they have trees at the edge of the agriculture fields, right? So they have to jump on the ground to reach the forest. And that's the time when dogs, they isolate individual, and sometimes they will just sit at the base of the tree where they isolate the individual. So sometimes it's 3-4 hours. They will just sit there, the bark, continuously bark until individual is like literally tired, frustrated, and then they jump on the ground. And that's how they get their strategy. But langurs also have a strategy. What they do, so these males, they will come and they will divert the attention of the dogs. So they will run around the dogs, the males. Because the dogs, they will not leave the tree. And if this sub-adult 3-4 years individual is stuck there, is already like very frustrated and very scared. So they're just frozen. They're like, and langurs, they get scared a lot. Like they're very shy. They are not like macaques where they will, oh, okay. Macaques, they will just always fight back. But especially like young langur, they're super scared. So they need some support. So these males, they come. So one male will divert this. Their dogs as a 3-4 dogs sometimes. So they need different males as well. So they will just divert their attention. And then one male will give courage to the individual stuck. They will say, okay, follow me, and then take back to this. So they do that sometimes, but it's not, I would say success for the dog is not that much as the strategy langurs are using. They're active and they try to rescue the individual quickly. Otherwise, I think feeding in these rescue habitat would be very difficult for langurs. Like entering that twice a day, they do that. That's average, twice a day. Sometimes they go 3 or 4 times a day, but that's the average, like every day, twice a day. That's a lot of risk they are taking in their life, right? Like every day entering these landscapes.
And
So
when they're feeding here, do they have somebody looking out for dogs?
yes, so that's the strategy they have. So these males, like, so for example, that's a part of my PhD study as well. So I study these 9 males, and the males, they can choose that if the predators are coming, so they have different responsibility. Okay, so some males are on top of the canopy and they're looking, everyone is feeding on the ground, and the one, two males always looking around, and they can see and they also know the dog comes from, say, from the road or from the village. They know these locations, they continuously look for the dogs. Soon they start from there, from the village, they know that time, and they start giving the alarm call that dogs run really fast, right? So it's like almost this things is less in second when this happens. You and then there are some males who are fighting with the dogs, chasing them back. Okay, and some males are the one who are not doing anything. They're like, okay, they will just run with the group. And so my interest was like, why some male take extra risk, fight with the dogs, and some male give alarm call, and some just sit back and save themselves. So where they're doing this? So what we found that the males who actually good friend with the females through the grooming, that they have like very good grooming partners. So they are the one actually taking care of the group mostly. And high ranking males, they're the one actually getting high mating, and they just want to protect themselves. And because what happened in the langur society, that the female stay in a group and male leave when they're sexually mature to maintain the genetic diversity. Okay, so in this sense, the females are mostly related. And then we have like unrelated males. Every mating season, they will have new alpha need to fight with the current alpha replace. So if you stay longer in a group, your rank will decrease and you will get less mating compared to like top 3 ranking males. So what's happening with the male who are staying longer in a group definitely have like good bonding with the females, and they are the one always protecting the group against the dogs. And it can be also like because they know how to deal with the dogs because they're staying longer, right? So that's what we found. But the alpha male, always the one. Like for example, in 2017, there was a new male Julio, and he will never give alarm call or fight with the dogs. He will always save himself. But now, in current time, he's the one actually taking care of the group, always fighting with the dogs. And yeah, but his rank has decreased a lot. Now he has like other 5-6 members above him.
Random, as in short, random question. So do you think these males who have good relations with the females but are low ranking, do you think they get to mate on the sly?
They are not like females, especially like adult females. They don't want to mate with them, but sometimes they get like these young females interested mating with them. If they are like the old males who are staying in a group for long time, they're like male actually come as a bottom ranking young male. So they just come snake in and those are actually some adult females, even though it's like the lowest ranking male, they have they mate behind the back of the high ranking males. But if the male who is staying longer in a group and bottom ranking, they are like, no, they just don't want to mate with them. They will be like literally like just rejecting them all the time. But they're
Okay.
part of their social system. That's bonding. They literally groom them. And when there is, you can see them, like when there is a winter huddling season, they huddle together, even though high ranking males are alone. So they're keeping them very close to their social network, but they're not meeting with them. And that's important for them to maintain the genetic diversity. Otherwise, it's just
Mm.
because the male is staying longer will have a lot of babies, and they may be like,
Yes.
it's like maybe their own siblings which they're interested in. So I think that's how they are maintaining their diversity.
And these high-ranking males, apart from chasing away other males, what else do they do to court the females?
High ranking males, because it's if you are high ranking, you the day one you become alpha, it's like all the females will come and interested in you. That's it. So that fight is very intense when this happens. It happens sometime for 3 to 4 days. And it's always what they do actually throughout the day. They always fight these current alpha, this alpha, that this happened. And other females, they're just watching. And sometimes when the other males get advantage of that, okay, we'll just wait and they let them fight. And it varies actually male to male. And some males, they injured the current alpha. They literally like severely injured the current alpha. Then alpha will leave for some time, come back. They don't leave, like they always try to come back. That's the main preference, that if current alpha wants to get that back, so they always have this fight almost like for entire mating season, where they because current alpha will not digest that, okay, now I cannot do this, like really. And then the current alpha is, I will not let you. So it's like always a fight between, and this like sometime is going on every day. And so that's what female observe, but the female is not that the female are only mating with the alpha most of the time. I think it's when we saw the data, and it's like top three ranking males are the one getting almost like equal mating, because when they are fighting, then other males can have, it's a huge group, right? And they
Right.
can mate somewhere as well. Alpha cannot see, and then there are some lower ranking males as well who can get some mating. So at the end, it's not that, because in some, like in my cases, like 90% mating is by alpha, but here it's not like that. It's like 20, 30, 30, like that. So there is some
Okay.
ratio. Yeah.
So coming back to this really interesting thing you said, where they give different calls for different kinds of dog attacks, the more serious ones and the
Hmm.
not so serious ones.
Yeah.
So they're identifying individual dogs, right? They know which one
Yeah.
is fierce and which one is not.
Yeah.
Do you think they also recognize individual humans?
They do. Yeah. That's a very good question. I can give you one example, that when we are in the field, and we also have like some interns and new researchers joining in between. So if someone comes with us, they're a bit scared, but they know that someone is coming with us. They don't recognize them from the village. So it's a new face for them. They are a bit tolerant, that they can, in few days, they will be like fine with our presence, because they know me for sure, that they know our team. They recognize our face. They know we are. If someone from village comes, they get really panicked. And even someone with some history, like someone actually harassed them a lot, they show that aggression. So what happened when we hired someone from Mandal, and he was harassing them, right? So when he came as a field assistant, they didn't allow him to. They're like, no, we cannot tolerate you, because they had history with him. And then we had to send him to other field sites, not the Mandal one, because they were like always aggressive, especially the males. They didn't like him because he was like, yeah, I was harassing them when I was a kid. They know very well when someone comes in. We have some friends from village, right? So if they see us, they try to come and they will say, okay. But if they had some history with these individuals, they get panicked. I think they know very well who is who. Either it's a dog or it's a human, because humans can go sometimes like they literally chase them with
Yeah.
stones, and they get really aggressive, so they know who. And some individuals are fine, so they know, okay, these are fine, but they definitely know who is aggressive and who
Okay,
is.
so how do you feel to be recognized by a wild animal? How does that feel?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And like 2 years, I think I was just thinking that they are langurs and I'm human. But the day when they were like very comfortable around me, I was like, whoa. I mean, it was very strange feeling within, because we are also primates, right? And then you suddenly you realize that, wow, they are so close to us. They look so similar to us. I even comparing them with some of my relatives. Wow, this look like this one, this look like this one. It's like it was very like strange feeling when, and then especially the babies, human babies and langur babies, when we do a lot of similar things, when our cognitive ability increased as we grow as a human, and when we are especially infant. There are a lot of studies on that as well. But when you observe that, the langur in the human infant is, wow, they are so similar to us. How they, the emotion between mother and infant, what you have like human mother and infant is same. And then how annoying they gets when they are like with juvenile stage and they just want mother all the time, and just issues say, okay, it's like my daughter. So there's so many things in day-to-day life in Langur society which is very similar to us. And I was like, at one point, I was just feeling that's a family I have, because I recognize who is who, and I know they're giving them names, and I know this one's daughter is this one. This is their family circle, and it's just I know too much about them. That's like just like the family I know, and the way the behavior is very similar to what we know about ourselves. Yeah, but I become like at one point, then I was like, wow, this just like a movie. Every day you go to field and then there's something happening, we're so excited, and then you have very nice team, you can just share these things. you
Yeah.
I cannot talk to this with some random person, but I have even like humans understand who is who. And then
Yes.
even some of the interns left, and then they will call, and then we talk about, okay, what happened with this one? I know Hari is there, or he is sometimes it's we are talking about langurs. We are like, okay,
Yeah.
Abhi got the new baby and baby is fine. Or you will feel like, oh, I'm talking about someone I know, my friend. So it's just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming to your field site Mandal, it's a
Hmm.
large village, right? And you said that there is increasing conflict now.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is the conflict increasing?
What's happening that, as I told you, that the areas where the langur can feed in the agriculture field, that's okay for them. But for sleeping, the sleeping site preference is very strong. Still, they want oak trees, first of all, and oak trees which are not like oak trees with nice, like old oak trees, not like young ones. So they have very strict preference towards this, like pristine, highly dense oak patches. Especially if you remember, we have a nice oak patch in between this Mandal Valley, which is next to the road, Forest Chowki to Kunkuli, right? So that where we can
Yeah.
find the owls and all, right? So there's this nice
Yeah.
dance, because that's not utilized by any village people. That's under conflict, and then forest department said, okay, this is now no one can go inside this forest and cut anything. But the people, they definitely, the population in Mandal is growing. You can see 15 years back was different, and now tourism is growing, population is growing, and people are actually considering more milk selling business, and they have high dependency on these the forest area nearby. Of course, they go a little bit far in their community forest, say, and all 6-7 kilometers, but that is like seasonal. They conserve those forests for season. Those forests are closed for 6 months, and the 6 months you can go and get the wood or get the grasses. But the forest nearby village, especially where the langurs are living, that is open for like mostly like around the
Extraction.
year. For, yeah, you can go and graze, and you can get the woods from there, and then you can cut the oak trees, especially
Branches.
the branches for the fodder. And that is growing. It's not just in Mandal Valley, it's everywhere in Uttarakhand. The Leucotrochophora forest, which is growing 1500 to 1800 meters, having high impact by the community, because of course it's like limited area where people can get the resources, and others are protected, and they have the protected areas as well, but they cannot do anything. So they, everything is within this range. And definitely, if all the animals are living in these home range, are problematic for people, right? Because, and it's increasing every year, like the different impact. There is a climate change, there is a tourism, there is high dependency by local people. Everything is impacting. So that's why I think langurs are spending more and more time because they literally don't have anything to feed inside the forest. Sometimes if they are like very intense season during the, especially the harvesting season, when people like very aggressively just guard their fields and langurs are inside the forest, they starve for a day. We have seen langurs starving. They're like really, they have nothing inside the forest. They can just feed maybe for 15-20 minutes, 70 individuals in this forest, but they cannot just, 2 square kilometer is not very big area, and they have to protect this for the entire family for entire year. They don't want to overfeed as well, because that will destroy the forest itself. They have those adaptations. They know that how much they need to feed in one area. They cannot just totally eat everything whatever is there. So sometimes they just starve for a day, or they get the opportunity when the people go during the lunchtime, then they go quickly inside the forest. And there's a one time 15-20 minutes they will go, they just eat as much as they can and they come back. Yeah,
My
they,
God.
they do. Yeah, so it's like very intense situation where which is growing, and langurs are trying to adapt to it. And but let's see, it's
Is
like a
there a
new
place
thing.
that you know of where langurs and humans live with less conflict or no conflict?
You mean anywhere in India
Yeah, like
or in Uttarakhand?
in Uttarakhand, like somewhere where you work or any field site or a place that you know of?
This time, because last year I did a quite a like large survey for this different project, and I visited like 70 villages or so. Everywhere people have problem with the langurs, with the wild boar, with the bear. Yeah, so it's there everywhere. I don't think so. And that's like whenever you ask them about major issue, like I was not even asking them about the conflict. It was about climate change, for example. But they will not reply to that. They will say, we have problem with this. Climate change, okay, yeah, we are losing some crops, and then they're like drought and no snow. But even we are successful growing something, but we have these animals coming inside our farm and it's growing. Everyone's saying it's past 10 years, when before it was okay, but now it's growing. Now we have a lot of problem with the bear, with the deer, with the macaques, with the langur. And they all say that it's a growing issue, and then it was not like that before. And
False
I think it's a
availabilities.
story. Yeah. And if you say that you study langur, then they will start complaining about langur. Then
Oh
1 hour
no.
lecture basically. Langur, they did this, they did that. And because the langurs, they feed on leaves, right? And these leaves are important for people. Those are the fodder. And that's why they get very irritated with the langurs, because, and they also have this kind of thinking that if the langurs they feed on the leaves, it get poisonous and it's not good for our cattle. Though they are not understanding that the langurs live in the forest where you get cut the most of the oak trees and all. They're feeding
Yeah.
there and they're growing well. I don't know. They just don't like them that much, and I think that's why they just create this narrative around them. And definitely, it varies valley to valley, but we have high population of the langurs. Mostly, we have like where this restricted forest area where we have oak in Uttarakhand, right? So this oak forest is really good for langurs. As I said, that for the langurs, sleeping tree is very important. Back to the sleeping side, basically, why this is happening, why a conflict is happening. What we found that because these highly dense oak patches are very few in their habitat, and they have to be there at the end of the day because they will not sleep anywhere else. They cannot, unless or until it's emergency, they can sleep somewhere, but they really want to sleep in this dense forest, which is in Mandal area is the forest chalk area, or oak forest, only oak patch next to the road. So those are the only places where they can sleep. So that's why they are always having more the villages around these patches actually having more problems because they have to go back to the sleeping site. And we also looked
Yeah.
at, not studied well, but we also looked at the Langur group other side of the valley, and we did some interviews. And but that was like in 2015 interview, but now I think they will be having more issues. But that time people said that they don't have any problem with the language, like very less problem, but because they have very nice continuous oak patch that side, and then it's actually a very nice oak patch connected to, because it's a sanctuary edge. So they have, if you remember, there's like a mandal which is other side of the river, so it has this
Yeah.
continuous oak forest. So langurs are mostly inside there, and they do come and feed on the agriculture, these trees, but they don't come literally inside the agriculture field. which is a bit far from the forest edge as well. And then I think they have very nice connected forest there. So they try to explore that side. They do come, but not like them that twice a day type. They are there. We see them that they are there, but they are not that intense. Yeah.
The people of Mandal, does anybody amongst them recognize individual langurs?
They don't. Unless until someone is, we had one without an arm. So that one is like pretty much everyone can recognize, okay, yeah, this, so that's the individual. But they don't know if the group we are studying is the one, there.
Okay.
And sometimes they say langurs were here yesterday, but we know langurs were like very far, the group we were studying. So I think they don't know which group. And they do have sometimes other groups, especially like Sanso side, the Sanso forest, you have the other group coming towards there. We do have like different 5-6 different groups actually within this our study group home range. There are different groups and they interact with them once a year. And yeah, but these
And have they expressed compassion for the langurs in your conversations? Do they identify with the langurs? Like maybe when they see a mother with a baby or something?
we also do some educational activity with the kids. So we share some stories with them. Look at this langur and this and that. So when these kids, when they see us observing the langurs, and if they see that, they will ask, "Oh, this one is this one." They will just guess because for them everyone is same. So it's they kids are interested if you tell them the stories about the langur. That okay, this one is infant, is like you, and they also have the friends like you. And you see how they play, so they get very excited. They get really like they will laugh. They will say, "Oh wow!" And they get, so if they see us, then they will like, "Can you show us where is Chiku?" And then they have the kids, definitely they are interested, but adults no. Adults, they have no interest. They are like, they're anyway too busy, especially the women. They're too busy with their work, so they don't care, and they're not even interested to know about the langurs. They just want to know about how can we reduce the conflict and things, not like building that relationship with the animals. Any animal is like, it's a bird or it's anything.
But
They're not
they have
interested.
cattle at home and they care for them almost like family.
Yeah, I think women, because women are closely attached. I think they're the mostly taking care of the cattle and everything. So they do have soft side. They will not, even when they're very aggressive, they're like, very few women I have seen in Mandal Valley who go out of the way and try to kill the langurs. I want to just kill them. But the men mostly, they're like, we just don't want them. Any animal, because I think they don't bond with animals so much. But the women, they will be like, we understand that they try to protect the crops, and because of course that's, they have to do a lot of hard work to collect the fodder and things. If the langurs are feeding on that, then they get a bit irritated. We understand their aggression, but it's just like frustration towards langurs. But they care about them. Sometimes when you talk to them, they will, oh, they have like small babies and they have a family, and they will be like a bit showing bit empathy towards the langur. But male, they will never say that. They will like, no, they're just bad. They're bad. Yeah. They just don't want to change their opinion. And I think it's what they feel is within as a motherly as well. And then you are right, because they have these relationship with their cattle as well. They have the calf and they understand this, that animal.
There's some sympathy there, right?
Yeah, there's some sympathy definitely within the woman. Yeah.
So if you were to change things in Mandal to reduce conflict, what would you change?
I think, which we are also trying right now, is we really have to help the women there, because it's everywhere in Uttarakhand that the high pressure on the forest, especially the community forest. And because women, they are relying, like for a small income, they're relying on the milk selling, which is not that rewarding business. So we are thinking like, if they have something like ecotourism program or anything else, something from where which they can do. Not, we cannot train them to become something else. Like they are farmers. So you have to think about farming strategy, I think, something which is rewarding than what they're doing right now, because it's all manual, they do a lot of work, but they said no, they're not getting any money from it. I think improved farming practice is something from where they can start earning, getting independent slowly. I think that will reduce their dependency on the forest. and on the milk selling business. That will, because it will take some time to build these things. These are for long-term conservation, I'm saying. And then at the same time, you also need to build that we human, or like the community living very close to forest, we were living with them, with the animals. We already have this relationship historically. We have this relationship where we accept animal as a part of our society. We never say that any community living still in the forest, they will never say, oh, this animal. They will always consider animal as a part of ecosystem. Okay, so we have this thinking. Like for example, the community, same Gadwali community, if they are semi-nomads, like they are shepherds in the, they're going in high altitude, living in the forest. If something happened like they get attacked, the predator attack their livestock, right? But they don't react the way when they react in the valley. So there they will say, okay, maybe we did something wrong for the nature, for the god. We didn't follow something. So that's why God is coming towards us to punish us like this way. So we have to be very careful about, they have some rules and rituals. So they feel for the nature, because they know we have to protect it, because that's like, very important for their survival. But we are losing this relationship as settled community. Anywhere when we are settled, then we don't have that. Like we always, we just see first reaction towards the animal is like, why you are in our space. We just don't want to share our space with them, though we have been sharing with them historically, always sharing space with the animal. We, that's why we have, I think, a lot of animal god and all. Why? Because we, forest god, we had different forest system where you protect that for the god. Why? Because we think that the animal live in those forests are also need, they are like god, and we just try to connect somehow like with a broader ecosystem, like people. And but here I think that's why I think like it's very, because we have that within ourselves, so it's important to build that relationship with the kids. That's what we are doing, that we want to build that relationship with the kids, where they can feel that, okay, you have to chase the language when they're nearby your village, nearby your agriculture crop, but don't harass them all the time when you see them in the forest, always just negative attitude. So we are trying to build that. And also you need to restore the forest, and that is very, very challenging as well. How can we restore oak forest, which is like climax forest in the Himalayas, and which is, I think, the forest department is doing for generation and generation. They're trying to grow the oak, but it will take some time. So we are trying to do like these small plantation nearby degraded forest, where we have some patches nearby the river where we can grow these agroforestry trees for the villagers, for the langur, and we also provide some trees to the villagers. So we're trying different things, but let's see which will work in long term. But I don't think so there is one solution. You have to work, like try to put
Yes.
different things in the model for the coexistence. Yeah.
It's very interesting that you said that settling down ruined everything. That until we were
Yeah.
nomadic, it was okay. But
Okay. Yeah.
what do you think? What changes when you settle down?
I think the first thing which we change, even like when we develop the agriculture, like evolutionary history, we first we it was like that we didn't had the feeling that we own something. When you say that I
Right.
don't own any, like when you don't have that feeling, then it's, I think, you protect everything. But soon you say I own this piece of land, I don't care about others. So it's, you lose that, the connection with the forest or with the earth
Right.
or everything, because this ownership changed everything. And that's what happened when we started settling down. We started, it's still like the community living in, say, Congo forest somewhere, where still they don't own anything. They are hunter gatherers. They're pretty much like, their relationship with the nature is definitely is very different from the settled agriculture community, because they literally have nothing. They just have like hut, and then they will be living there for 1 month, and they will be going somewhere else. They don't even own anything, like any jewelry or anything. They don't have that owning concept. So that's how they see the animals as well. Animals also, they don't own, they don't have anything, any property on their name or anything.
Yeah.
When you are like following your, but that's how we were, right, as an animal, as a primate. But soon we changed that. I think that changed everything. And also thinking that we are superior, why these animals are here. We are not thinking that even the valleys right now, like Mandal Valley, it was valley before. No, it was a nice forest patch. Human came, they cleared the valley, they created agriculture field, they settled their home there, because we say that this area owned by this village. And then the animal, because they don't have any own concept, they were just there. And now if they try to come in our land which is owned by human, then we get really pissed off. And they don't understand, right? They're like, what?
Yeah.
What do
Yeah.
we have now? Yeah,
I
it's
remember you also tried introducing kiwi plants, right?
yeah. So kiwi, because we thought like kiwi require like less, because they don't have big agriculture field, especially like kiwi in their home garden, not in agriculture field, where they can take care of them nearby their house. So we tried that, but let's see. It's growing pretty well in Mandal. And that's like the model also adopted by the forest department. So they are also trying to give, but I don't think so. It's like game changing for now, because people are just understanding how we can grow the kiwi. And
But langurs
right
don't
now,
come for kiwi.
so what we found in our home range, the langurs are feeding on the leaves of the kiwi, which is fine.
Oh,
But they are, yeah, in some, at the forest jockey, they are not feeding everywhere, but one side where actually that's the sleeping side and they're like kiwi. So they will definitely, they're feeding on the leaves, but they are not feed. They try to feed on the fruit, but it's like very, it's not good for their throat. So
right.
they're not, they didn't go for kiwis as much as they go for oranges. They will definitely destroy a bit. I will not say they will not feed on the kiwi at all, but I think it's also something new they are exploring. And they looks like they love the leaves, but they don't like the fruit till now. And the kiwi fruit is that it cannot be ripe on the tree itself. You need to put it in a room temperature. So that was our
Yeah.
strategy, that if they can grow the kiwi, then they can pluck it like when it's not ripe, when all the animals will come and feed on it. And then you can, and it's pretty expensive fruit as well, and it can grow only in certain areas. And it can also grow at the above the ground, so you can grow it still whatever you want to grow at the. That's what my dad is doing in my village, and he's pretty successful actually. But it requires
Oh,
like
how
some
nice.
attention. You cannot just, you have to take care of the plants. The
Yeah,
women
yeah.
are interested, but they have too many things to deal with. So you need to water them time to time, to give them fertilizers, right? So the manure, and you need to cut them, and you need to take care of them. If you do that, then you get the good crop. My dad got really good crop, and he is very attached to the kiwi farming now. And he's growing different lentils and things, and also the ginger with along with the kiwi, and it's growing pretty well. The multi
Yeah.
this system, yeah. And there's some farmers actually getting very good income in Uttarakhand. I would not say in Mandal Valley, it's not, it's just 4 or 5 trees, which is maybe good for
Yeah.
their own this thing. And but the farmers who have say 30, 40 kiwis in their garden, they're getting pretty much good income. Like they're earning
Yeah.
in lakhs, definitely better than selling a milk business if you compare the labor cost. Because you know that the women, they go almost 5, 6 hours, especially like during grass collection time. They go very far, like 14, 15 kilometer up hills, and 4 in the morning, and they come for the lunch directly with the grass on their back. That's, I think, a lot for 1.5 months when they do it. Like they keep that for the winter. They
Yeah.
store the grass, and I think that's a lot of work. And also the farming work itself is a lot, because it's all manual, and then they don't get anything because, of course, there are langurs feeding on it. There are macaques always in our home range. One langur home range, we have 4 macaques group within that range.
Oh,
4 macaques group, and but macaques are mostly feeding on agriculture. One is mature, and home food, like they're stealing things from the house and from the shops and all. And then we definitely have when the crop is not like just growing, that time we have sambar deer, barking deer feeding on the crop. And then, and the main destroyer is the wild boar. When crop is full mature and they come with the family nicely, they will just feed on the entire agriculture field at night when no one is seeing it. So they definitely have like these different wildlife they need to deal with them.
hmm.
Yeah,
So if it is agriculture, it'll have to be a crop that is not conflicting,
exactly. Yeah.
like
And
turmeric
that's,
maybe, or
yeah. That's also they can grow, but there's a thing, but they have to grow, like they can grow spices as well, but they think like where we will sell them. They don't have that, they don't see the market. So you really need to come up
Right.
with, and then if you talk about the market, then you need a lot of people growing it. For example, there are like some lemongrass plantation is going on in other valley in nearby. So the CEO of that company actually contacted me when he saw that I want to do the kiwi thing. So he was like, yeah, we are also thinking like same way. So we're growing lemongrass. So he's like, but right now we're just growing the lemongrass, and then they have like company set up, and then this and then it's growing, they're exporting it because it's a really good quality lemongrass. And then it took few years to get soil testing, this and that. They're like a proper system for that. You really need those people on
Yes.
board who can do that for Uttarakhand. I'm not talking of the Mandal Valley. I think it will be then Uttarakhand oriented goals, like where everyone is facing the same issue, even in my village, right? So my village, we don't have any problem with the macaques feeding on kiwi. My dad is actually the villagers actually who destroyed kiwi, but it's not destroyed by any wildlife, and it's pretty much good in my village where he's growing it like properly. And then it looks like kiwi can be like one thing, but we all, I think, for the better income, because just growing wheat, rice, lentils, just growing that will not, because that's all destroyed by the wildlife. So I think people,
Yeah.
if they want to, and that's why in some villages they're abandoning the fields, they're not growing anything. So we do
Yes.
care about original crops and all, but what if the people are leaving the agriculture field, not growing anything there? Is it good? So I think it's better to have, definitely, I think horticulture, agriculture improvement for Uttarakhand. And we do have some good models and a lot of research institute, a lot of authorities actually can, who can do something for them. And I think,
Yeah.
and people will be, it just, they need one success model. If someone is doing it, that they will be like, oh, now we also want to do it. It's like that.
Yes.
So I think
Yes.
it's not started yet
Yeah.
for Rakhand, but maybe it will. Yeah.
Nice. Yes. I think they need like an alternate plan to the to what they know as the development model, no?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. We cannot start something totally new. Like I can see like the areas which are getting tourism, because when I did this large survey, I could see the homestay concept is working well for some villages, because where they can receive the tourist and everyone is getting some income if they, because the government is helping them to build two rooms house, and that everyone is actually taking advantage of that. And they, it's, I think it's helping them with some their status improvement. But that's like for some villages, but it's not like we cannot
Right.
use it everywhere. Yeah, because there is only high altitude villages where people want to go and want to see the scenery and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And any other insights from the large survey that you did?
Related to what? I mean, because my survey was like literally, it's about the culture, it's about the climate change, and a lot of things actually together. But one thing which I was very sad about was impact of the climate is too intense now in Uttarakhand. For example, these flash flood issues, irregular rainfall, these things are too intense in these 5-10 years. And most of the villages, especially like high altitude villages, they all under threat. They have this like landslide zone everywhere. I was like very surprised to see that. Wow, every like any village we went, they are dealing with this, especially monsoon season. They don't sleep in their village. They have other parts where they go during the monsoon, because all the houses have cracks. It's like the land is not stable anymore, and they are very scared that this rain might do something. And that was pretty much common everywhere. So climate change impact is sudden. It came like quickly and just changed everything. No proper snowfall for 5-10 years definitely increase the diseases. The lot of disease now, they don't know how to deal with that. The disease for the, especially for the cattle like goat and sheep, and for the cow buffalo, they don't know. They all come in summertime. They never had those diseases. So they're dealing with these climatic impact a lot. And then definitely it's also impacting the wildlife and surrounding forest, and then definitely it is increasing the conflict. So that's like the issues. All valleys, like there is Chopta Valley, Mandal Valley, Urgam Valley, or Madhmesh Valley, all valleys, they have these things very common, especially the valleys nearby these high glacier zones. So these are the areas where I sampled in this different valley. So I think that's pretty sad. I thought maybe I'm just starting to document it, but it's already too late to document and say
Oh
something
no.
about it. You can't, yeah, you now I don't know what we can do about it. I when I asked them this question, I feel so sad. I was like, what we can do about it? Nothing. It's already too late. We should have
Oh
started
no.
this 25 years back or so.
Mm.
That's a reality, sad reality about the climate change impact in high altitude, which is already changed. They lost a lot of native crops. They have these new diseases. They have a lot of lands they cannot, especially high altitude, which are under threat because of the landslide, flash flood, and glaciers. They have, when you ask the separate community about the glaciers, like the passes they go through, they're like now there are like so many glaciers. Like they they were just like keep on giving the names. They say that 25 years back when I started here, like these were the like very like prominent glaciers, and now even on Chokamba you can't see snow in the one. Stafford actually started crying looking at the Chokamba when I was taking his interviews. Like now I feel so sad that there's no snow on Chokamba. Like it was, I took his interview in August, I think, yeah. So there is no snow, and these people, when you ask them about the past, how it was, they get really emotional, how it was, and now everything is changed. So then you realize, wow, is already everything is changed. So what we can do now?
Yeah.
It's too late. You can't bring it back. Yeah, so it's
Yes. And yet we continue to work.
exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for talking to us.
It's my pleasure. I enjoyed talking about everything.
We'll ask
Yeah.
Srini, if he's still here,
Yeah.
to ask you one last question. So you've already mentioned about how we can work towards reducing conflict,
Hmm.
but Srini will ask you.
Hmm.
Srini, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, thanks, Himani. It was like really amazing to hear all these things.
Thank
Little
you.
sad also. Yeah, we feel like things
Yeah.
are slipping away, like it's and without
Yeah.
being able to do. And actually,
Yeah.
you know, so what me and Sartaj are doing, like we're working towards that the different people that we're speaking to try to distill something, because like in a talk so much happens, right?
Hmm.
So how do we
Hmm.
distill something which is hinting at teaching something? So we're calling it a recipe right now. So what are the
Hmm.
recipes for multi-species living, right? So,
Hmm.
so I wanted to ask you that question. Why are you studying langurs, and what do you think is the kind of what can be a recipe for living together, or what does this study of your interest indicate? That's what.
Okay. I would say living together, we have to go back in history. I feel that we have to understand that when we were living together with the wildlife, how it was that time. So we have to learn something from our own history. So I think that's very important. And that's what I'm trying to understand from Mandal Valley as well. Because there, as you said, like, there are a lot of things which
Hmm.
are like we cannot control. We cannot just say that I have one solution for
Correct.
conflict, that okay, you do this and you fence around, whatever you do, you will not
Yeah.
achieve. I think it's not about sharing the physical spaces, like your empathy as well, right? So how you
Yeah.
you feel like how you develop those feeling towards the wildlife, where you are okay with sharing the space. That there will be like, of course, some interaction from human side, from wildlife side, but there will be like some balance somehow, and that will come through our own mindset. So I feel
Hmm.
that is very important, first of all, developing that mindset. And that's how we are also like doing some kind of activity with the kids. And what we found that the kids working with us, like especially different activities, they do show a bit tolerance towards the langurs. And of course they will chase them when they're very
Hmm.
close to their house or feeding on their crops. but they will not just chase them randomly around. They have some tolerance around them. So that is one thing. And other thing, if we need to understand the main issue, why this conflict is happening. For example, for the langurs, we know that they have this fragmented forest, and then they really prefer this dense forest as a sleeping site. They will not sleep randomly somewhere. So that's actually very important. So you have to maintain those fragmented forests, maybe try to build up the corridors and things for the langurs. And for the people, because their dependency on the natural resources is because they're earning money. So we also think about them. So if you have to think about animal side, human side, especially if they are like rural community. In cities, it will be different, definitely. And then you have to also build that relationship we had. We should not lose that connection with the nature. We should have that, especially the kids. We should tell them. And I think because that's so natural within us, if we even like someone living in the city, they get very connected with the wildlife once they started learning about them. But when they go to the forest, right? So these things. So the village kids, if they always think bad about the wildlife, they will definitely grow like that. But they also if you try to give them some knowledge, for example, the community living as the nomads, they pass that knowledge, and then their kids are actually a bit connected with the wildlife, but not in the village. But we try to do that. They already have that understanding. It's just you are just telling them stories, and that might change. So I think education, empowerment, habitat restoration, these things should go together, and also the traditional knowledge about that community is very important. I think that's what we losing. We are not understanding what they were before. So it's also we need to understand that how their knowledge was before, and everything. I think it should be important for sharing the space in future.
Yeah, I think like Sartaj was saying also, like one thing you said was, I think it's leading to that only, saying that I think this concept of ownership, and we somehow feel that we own forests or land, while the animals are not in that frame of mind, right? They are like shared
No,
resources. But I think
exactly,
something is there, like
exactly.
we need to maybe create public resources, public forests, or create this concept of understanding that it's not just human ownership of. So I think, yeah, I think that was coming up. So I just put that recipe down in those terms. Is that
Definitely.
forest for
Yeah.
everyone, or we don't own anything,
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Because for the animals, they don't think they own that 2 square kilometer area,
Yes,
because
exactly.
they are respectful other
Yeah,
about other there are birds, there are
yeah,
different insects, right?
yeah,
There are different animals who
correct,
are there, and accept all of them. They don't say, oh, this is. Of course, they will be
correct.
like very strict about the territory with the same species. They'll say, okay, no, this is my territory. You have to be there, but
Yeah,
they will respect. They will also not go to their territory, right?
correct,
It's
correct,
my.
correct.
They will not. The human, we say, oh, this is my territory, this is my resources, but your resources are also my resources.
Yeah,
So that is not right, like
correct,
in
correct.
animal world.
Yeah, yeah.
If you don't want to share your resources with the other species, then you should also not take their
Take
resources,
there.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think this is a very important point. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. So, sorry, just one more last question. So, these kids that you
Yeah.
work with, do their parents ask you, like, what's the point? Like, why should we live with langurs?
No, I mean, we never had these conversations with their parents. They're like, they don't even care what they're learning in their school, right? So when they come and they interact with us, and it's like sap, is it? Yeah. So it's
Right.
like yeah, when we are the teacher, they just respect us as a teacher. No, okay, whatever you're teaching, your teacher is good. So that's like very complicated situation. Like they don't say that, oh, why you're teaching about the wildlife or this. Good, you're teaching something is good for the kids. And some parents, they will definitely, they don't care about, because they're so busy, and especially the women, because they don't even have a time that what they are learning in the school or what activity they are participating. It's different from this town, right, where parents actually concerned about
Yeah,
what their
yeah.
kids are there. Okay, whatever you do. So we never
But
had these
what do you think?
interactions.
Like, why should we continue living with the langurs? Because you've mentioned all the disadvantages. What are the
Mhm.
advantages?
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
Sorry, I was saying
Uh,
you've mentioned all the disadvantages of sharing space with langurs. What are the
right.
advantages?
Okay, what are the advantages? I think it is I mean, in like value perspective, especially as a human beings, I don't think so we will ever see any advantage like that. That because of course they don't anything connected with the money we think is good for us, and definitely langurs cannot provide that advantage to people. It's just I think if you see them as a part of the, it's just you just feel good that they are there, and because it's their space as well. But definitely the people living as a nomads, for example, Palsi suffers, they think langurs are a bit like they, if the langurs are around where they're grazing, they can give an alarm call and they know that leopards are around. So they have these connection with the language. They also know that they're important for the forest, for the ecosystem, for entire ecosystem. They understand. But in a village where they always feeding on their crops and things, I don't think so. We can say that I don't think so. There is any advantage for humans directly sharing a space, especially agriculture field space. It's just they have to be a bit tolerant when they are in the forest and when they are feeding nearby on those trees, not on the crops. Yeah, so it just I think the feeling within themselves that okay, they also have a family, and it's just
yeah.
like it's just like how we say the forests are important, and we feel that they are providing some oxygen to us, and so there's and to keeping this forest alive, you need the animals who are living there. So that's I think the
Correct.
advantage we can say. The people will feel
Right.
okay. We need all the ecosystem intact, otherwise it will fall apart. And forests are good for us. They provide a lot of things, right? And also very important water source, especially the oak forest. If we lose the oak forest, then we will lose everything.
Yeah. And you didn't find any religious sentiment attached to the langurs?
Surprisingly, that's also something very interesting in Uttarakhand, where people think langurs are evil. They
Oh,
think macaques are, yeah, even the langurs are considered Hanuman langur. It's in literatures everywhere. And we know the Hanuman with the long tail, that's a Hanuman langur. The Hanuman langur from in south, we say Hanuman langur, and they are Hanuman. And in especially in Uttarakhand, I don't know about Himachal and Kashmir, what they call them, but in Uttarakhand they call them evil because they have black face. Because we have this racism a lot. Yeah, oh, you're black, then you are like low caste, and I think that. And then whenever I ask them like, why do you think langurs are evil? They have black face, that's why they are rakshas. And the macaques, even though they're causing more problems, they're god because they have
oh,
faces like
very
us. Yeah.
interesting.
So macaques are the god in Uttarakhand, and langurs are.
Evil.
And if you are in the forest, langur, lone langur, then it means like some evil spirit is within you, and then you have to follow, you have to sacrifice something, and it's very intense with the langur. And that's why they say that the
Oh,
langurs, if they are sometimes they're that's why they don't want to see them around the agriculture field, because they think if they urine or they are there, just their presence making everything bad. Though Pulses, they don't say this. They think langurs are good and good for us. They're around and they give alarm call, and it's nice to. They don't have any negative narratives around them. But especially women, they get very scared of male langur if they are alone in the forest and there's one male langur. So this is like something I found very interesting, that that's my theory, maybe because Gadwalis are
right,
racist,
right.
and that's why they say okay, black is bad. And so we never had macaques population in the Himalayas. Macaques came from lower elevation, tropical forest, because macaques need fruit species, right? They cannot rely on like one
Leaves.
fruiting tree in the Himalayas, which is in winter. No, they are not originally from here, and they don't even have the stomach like langurs where they can digest the leaves. Right? So
Right.
the macaques came later. That's why the macaques rely only on human food or agriculture food in the Uttarakhand. So the macaques, I don't know what was the relationship with the langurs, like historically. I'm trying to get that literature. I'm sure we had different opinions. This came later when macaques entered. When we maybe before we had Hanuman Langur, like Hanuman Langur everywhere in India. The langurs are god, but I think it changed when macaques entered and they became the god. And that's my theory. I don't know. The langurs
Yeah, that's a
became.
really, really interesting theory.
Yeah.
In fact, sorry, just on that,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
important because I'm struggling with drawing the faces and the langurs and macaque. So I was just noticing, I was looking at a reference, but some places this very interesting because the Hanuman, there's no blackface on Hanuman god, or the imagery of Hanuman, and it
Exactly.
looks more like
Yeah.
a macaque than a langur, even though
Yeah,
actually,
but the body is like gray hair somewhere and long
हाँ
tail,
हाँ, लेकिन
right?
फेशियल ना कुछ कुछ जैसे कि ये मैकाक जैसे
Uh,
दिखने लगा है मुझे कि हनुमान इज मोर
hmm,
मैचिंग दिस थिंग व्हिच इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग दैट
hmm. Yeah.
But all
द
of
Yeah.
but all the imagery is recent stuff, no? It's what people
या
have imagined.
Yeah,
या
exactly. I think हमारा जो पुराना system रहा होगा, we had man like bit darker from south,
हम्म
very fair skin. Even the and everyone, they were a bit
हम्म
dark, right?
या
In somewhere, but somewhere you show them very bright and somewhere you show them dark. I think
हम्म
it's, and that was, I think, the confusion because we had different gods in the Himalayas. We never worshipped like before, worshipped like these gods. They came later on because the
हम्म
people living in the forest had forest god, and we still have those gods in our system, especially Palsi gods are
हम्म
different. Those are the member of their community who are grazing the goats in these landscape, protecting them from other things. So they become their gods, and now we connect them with the Shiva, but they are actual beings, and we even have some rituals in these forests. We have like forest gods, archery and all. So we have these different gods, friendly gods, which we still have them in some rituals, but we have other gods which came, I think, later on. And that's why I'm very interested to know that where Langur were placed in that time. Because we worship definitely the two main gods at that time, which was snake and tiger or leopard, any carnivore like cat family, because we were hunted by them. A lot of snake bite, lot of, so we started that. I found in literature. That's how we started worshipping them,
ओह वाओ
and because we were getting killed by them a lot.
हम्म
So then we had some respect towards them. But that's the thing, like in system, we thought that maybe we are doing something bad. That's why God, these are the God punishing us for our things. We never thought that, okay, they're bad and kill them. We started worshipping them. Okay, please forgive us. So we do have like nursing and Nag main God in our system. And still like in my village, we live in low altitude, but we still follow. We have those gods. Like in my village in Rudraprayag, we have Nag and nursing and our main god. And then we have to worship them every 10 years. There are different rituals and things you need to perform. There's some poetry along with it. Someone will come with those. So it's like it's interesting to see that how these gods were different, and then these other gods are very important now, Shiva and all other gods in whatever we worship in Hinduism, right? So yeah.
या
I think we're almost out of time also. Thank you so much, Himani, for talking to
Yeah, I
us.
didn't realize. It was fun, yeah,
Yes.
seriously. And I like this when someone asks me questions and challenge, and definitely a lot of new things even came from these conversations. So it's nice. Yeah. I hope
Thank you.
you enjoyed learning about language and in general about the
Absolutely.
community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.